The Miami Dolphins in 2013 had a very simple path to the playoffs. Win one of your last two games, and you're in. And they didn't. They kind of got steamrolled in their last two games, and they ended up missing the playoffs. And of course, this was kind of remarkable to me in the sense that with all the distractions from the Jonathan Martin, Richie Incognito situation earlier on in the year, their overall failures to protect Ryan Tannehill all throughout 2013, I thought the Dolphins were ripe for a second half fall apart and were going to be a terrible team. And didn't quite happen that way. They're still mediocre. But when I look at the Miami Dolphins, they're really not that far away from being a little bit of a threat to the New England Patriots in the AFC East. And when you look at the Miami Dolphins in their recent draft history, it kind of suggests to you that that time could be approaching as soon as 2014, or it might not be. You look at guys that were hits, guys like Mike Pouncey, guys like Olivier Vernon. Those are some guys, some big time impact players that they've taken over the past few years. If that's a big time misses too to me, like former second round pick Daniel Thomas. He's had the occasional moment, but he was a second round pick as a running back, and he's not the clear cut starter. That makes him a miss. Michael Egnew, their third round pick at tight end out of Missouri in 2012, bust. Just flat out bust. They've also got some big questions. Ultimately with Ryan Tannehill, until established otherwise, anytime you take a quarterback in the first round and you try to build your team around him, until he proves otherwise, he's always going to be a question. And when you look at Tannehill, he's had some flashes. He's definitely had some moments. And he looks like he could be that guy, like I envisioned him being coming out of Texas A&M. But there are still questions there about whether or not he's going to be able to take that next step and become a true franchise quarterback in the National Football League. And then in terms of questions, too, I look at Deion Jordan and that entire 2013 draft class of Jeff Ireland's. It was terrible. It produced nothing. And I emphasize again, nothing. And Deion Jordan was a nothing. And what makes that so bad is the Dolphins traded up from 12-3 to get Deion Jordan to get, what, 2 sacks? Maybe they should have realized that he didn't fit the defensive scheme that they were going to play. Some GMs just don't learn. Jeff Ireland clearly didn't get it, and that's why he was clearly shown the door. Now, is Dennis Hickey, the new general manager, going to be any different? Only time will tell. Now, in this particular draft, the Miami Dolphins are pretty much playing it straight. They've got a pick in every single round, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So they're not at a deficit of picks. They don't have a plethora or surplus of picks. But what their entire draft strategies, to me, should be like is similar to the New York Jets. They must be all about helping their young quarterback. They must be all about helping Ryan Tannehill. They have to have an identity of being an offense-first team, and they have to, in my opinion, have the identity of being Ryan Tannehill's team. Because when you look at the defensive side of the football, the Dolphins really aren't that bad, and in fact, I think they're a little underrated in terms of how good their defense is. They've got some nice players over there, the Randy Starks, the Cameron Wakes, the Brent Grimes. Those are some good players over there on that side of the football. Now it's time to build up that offensive side of the football to measure up to the standard of the defensive side. And the biggest single important thing out of this whole draft for the Miami Dolphins is they have to protect Ryan Tannehill. The fact that Ryan Tannehill was able to start every game in 2013 and come out relatively unscathed without any serious injuries is an incredible credit to him, and also an incredible credit to how lucky the Miami Dolphins were as an organization after the 2013 season. Ryan Tannehill had pressure in his face all the time. He was constantly under siege. They struggled to consistently open up holes in the running game. He needs help, and he needs help in a big way. The three biggest needs for this team in any particular order, all around the offensive line, that is right tackle, left guard, right guard. Their first 3 picks, or 3 of their first 4 picks, in my opinion, should be devoted to the offensive line. Because, yes, it was that bad in 2013, and yes, it is that important to the future success and health and well-being, mind you, of a Ryan Tannehill to address that offensive line early and often in 2014's NFL draft. They need a right tackle. Since you signed Brandon Albert to play left tackle, you need a right tackle that could potentially at some point in time in the next 3 years project over to the left side if Albert's play degrades enough where you need to move him inside to guard or move him over to right tackle. You need to address both guard positions. Incognito's gone. John Jerry is gone. They need help at both guard positions. They need to find 2 guys that could start at some point in time in 2014 at the guard position, if not from day number 1. They have other needs on the offensive side of the football. They have needs at wide receiver, I believe. You've got Gibson coming off of a major knee injury. Hartline could be in his last year with Miami. Mike Wallace, wasn't really a guy you were going to expect to live up to the huge money that Jeff Ireland gave him. They need help. You need to give more weapons to Ryan Tannehill in the passing game. And this is a very deep class of wide receivers. You might be able to find a guy like a Jordan Matthews in round number 2, somebody like or Martavius Bryant in a round number 2. Guys later on, maybe a quick twitch kind of slot athlete, guys like a Robert Herron in round 3 or 4, maybe a guy like a Jarvis Landry in a round 3. I could justify them not taking an offensive lineman in round 1, 2, or 3 if it was a wide receiver or a tight end. Because even with the emergence of Charles Clay and how productive he was last year and how surprising and good he was last year, the fact of the matter is you only have really one tight end. You had Dustin Keller. You were expecting to do big things, and he suffered that devastating knee injury in the preseason. So you can't really count on him to come back and do anything. That's if you even bring him back into the fold. So is there any law against having 2 tight ends that can produce on the roster? Absolutely not. And I also think they need to address running back. Yeah, you signed Noshawn Moreno, but again, that was, what, a 1-year deal? You have Lamar Miller and Daniel Thomas in the fold, but at some point in time, they're going to need to find a long-term answer at running back, and I'm not sure that long-term answer is currently on the roster. You see, everything that I'm talking about here is designed to help Ryan Tannehill, is designed to put him in the best possible situations to succeed. I'm not saying in the same case with the Jets where I feel every single pick needs to be devoted to the offense. With the Miami Dolphins, I do feel that most of their picks need to be devoted to that offensive side of the football, bearing in mind that Ryan Tannehill is their franchise quarterback. He is their future. He's going to be their identity. He's going to be the leader. So they need to do a better job of protecting him and then do a better job of helping him out. The Miami Dolphins aren't that far away. They really aren't from being a playoff team and being a team that could cause some problems for the New England Patriots in the AFC East. If they do a good job in this draft of finding pieces that can help protect Ryan Tannehill and then give Ryan Tannehill more options on the offensive side of the football in terms of playmakers, this is a Dolphins team that'll be a surprising force in 2014.